I'm back with the wonderful Harley, and we're going to have some fun now, Harley. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I always
Let's
say this
go.
to my guests when we do the spark, and they're always look slightly terrified. We start off by asking you a few questions, just to sort of get to know you a bit more as a person, and then we finish with a question from the previous guest.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will ask a question to the next guest. So that's quite a nice little chain thing that we've got
Yeah.
going on. Okay, so let's crack on. When
Mm-hmm.
did you last feel completely out of your depth, and what happened next?
I built a restaurant, and it had been something that I had wanted to do for a long time. I'd always wanted to create a space, and it was dedicated to my mother, who I lost when I was young, and it was a really ambitious project. And then as we were building it, I kind of realized that I had made a mistake. We were really far. I really liked enjoying it. I really liked creating the concept. But the building process was really tough. And then actually running a restaurant is a nightmare. I pushed on and I pushed on for longer than I should. And it was one of those things because I've always felt that I sort of defined myself by not giving up. And so I just kept going, even though I wasn't enjoying it, even though I wasn't able to spend the time that it needed for me to make it work. And so it was ultimately I gave up and I closed, and it was a huge relief and a huge sort of lesson for me in learning about myself and realizing, you know, there's nothing wrong with things not working out. If you don't like what you're doing, you can always quit.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't say it was giving up. I'd say it's just recognizing it wasn't for you.
Yeah, or, or whatever you called it, and it turned, eventually it turned into a blessing. There was I still own the space, and there was this wonderful chef who came in, and he wanted to build his own restaurant, and I was able to provide that for him, and he's a Michelin star chef, and he built this
Wow,
wonderful place, and that now is across the street from me, and I can go there every time I want.
that's amazing. Is there always a seat for you at the table, overlooking
I
the
don't have
street?
I don't have a seat for me, but they've never turned me down.
That's great. That's lovely. What's a hill you die on when it comes to creative work?
Well, die on is a stretch, but in sort of the metaphor of it, I would definitely say that I think that if you're making something, it should make people feel some way. I don't think it's enough to make something that works. I think it's very important when you're whatever it is that you're making that you start with or include at least in your process how you want someone to feel when they use it.
Mm.
And that's something I try and put into everything I do is, definitely trying to figure out how it works. But then maybe even more importantly is how does it make you feel?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do, though.
It is a hard thing to do, but it's also, I think, once you get into the habit of that and once you have that sort of solidified, I think it actually makes things a lot easier because it makes it easier for you to make decisions along the way because you know what you're trying to accomplish.
Fair enough. Sounds good. I'm just now sat here thinking, how can I make that happen with Creative Boom and all the other things I do? Yeah, it's not an easy thing to get to, but
I think you probably have it. You just maybe you don't. It's not as top of mind. But having seen some of the things you do, I think I'm pretty sure it's there. You maybe haven't articulated it.
yes, maybe I need to sort of lean into it a bit more. This is what AI told me the other day, Harley. It said there was a prompt going around that got you to put it in and say, what am I not doing enough of? Where am I
Yeah.
going wrong? And it was brutal.
Was it fair?
It was very fair, actually. It said that I hadn't quite discovered yet this thing that I had, and I wasn't exploiting it enough. I wasn't realizing its power, and I had
Yeah.
to bring myself to the forefront a bit more and be a bit more outspoken and not be so polished and professional, which is kind of my journalism background creeping in. Just be a bit more kind of feisty and
Yeah.
opinionated, and screw it if I don't bring in everyone along with me, which is hugely putting myself out of my comfort zone, because I've always been, it's not about me, it's about who I'm interviewing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the journalist in me.
Are you a people pleaser?
I'm a girl, come on, of course I am. But it's been left behind a little bit as I get older, starting to get going through the angry perimenopause phase where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I trying to be everybody's friend?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson that, sometimes you have to let some people down to be who you are.
I'm not quite ready to embrace that yet, Harley.
Well, let's work on it.
Oh, gosh. Is this good? Should we do a weekly check-in? Yeah, it's tough,
Yeah.
So what is a small ritual or habit that makes your day better?
I try and meditate twice a day, and it's surprisingly hard. It's very easy to waste time, and sometimes I feel like I have a lot of time, but finding those 20 minutes, because I try and do 20 minutes twice a day, is really hard. But when I do it, it really makes my life and my day better. And so I try to do it once in the morning and then once before I go to bed. And it just calms me down, and it makes me so much more resilient for whatever comes my way through the day.
Do you have any tricks, tips for meditating?
I do a sort of a version. Mostly, it's sort of a transcendental meditation. So, if anyone wants to read up about that, it's a very simple technique, and you can do it anywhere. So it's not complicated. You don't need an app. There's nothing really you need except just maybe a quiet room.
I do the classic, imagine a train going in one ear and out the other with lots of compartments carrying all of my thoughts. And it doesn't work most of the time, but I'll keep trying.
It definitely doesn't work all the time for me either. There's days even, when I do it, or weeks when I feel like I'm not getting there, but then there's weeks when it clicks and I feel at peace.
Yeah. I have that with when I do the ironing. You get that kind of focus.
Yeah.
And my mind just goes blank, and I realize actually after doing the ironing, I feel amazing. Does that count?
Whatever works. Yeah.
It's whatever works. Okay. What's the most impulsive thing you've ever done while traveling?
I went to Iran once, and we landed in Tehran, and the plan was to stay in Tehran for I think 2 weeks, which was a big enough leave. But we realized very quickly, I think after a night or two, that it wasn't. It's a very, very hectic city, and it wasn't what I didn't want to spend more time there. So the impulsive thing is we went and found some guy somehow who drove us across country, and we went through Shiraz and Isfahan and went to Persepolis, and it was just this it was just a very, very enjoyable trip, and it was all spur of the moment, and everything we did during that, I think, week or 10 days was just winging it in a city or in a country where we didn't speak the language, and there was nobody. We hardly saw any tourists, and it was amazing.
You feel alive.
Definitely, yeah, and you realize, I think with places like Iran that have been in the news for a long time, and sometimes I think you can start to imagine that the people there are somehow different than people elsewhere, but obviously you find that they're the same. That it's the same. They have the same aspirations, they have the same needs, they have the same longings, and there's kindness everywhere.
There is kindness everywhere. Thank you for linking it back to the theme of our chat. People are not defined by their leaders, definitely.
No, definitely not.
It's a good reminder. What's something you'd love to believe in, even if it's not real? Is it Santa Claus?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that in a lot of stories that are nice. But for me, it's even more fundamental. I think because and obviously, real is different to people. But my mom was believed in sort of a benevolent God, and I think it gave her a lot of comfort. And I did as a kid, and it definitely helped me through hard times. But I don't have that faith anymore. I don't believe in a higher power in
Mm.
that sense. But I really envy people who do. I think it is something that can help people through a lot of hard times, and not having that can be extremely hard.
Mm. Whereas I think, yeah, I grew up Catholic, and I agree with you. I found comfort in it as a child, but now I'm not a non-believer.
Right.
And I find comfort in the fact that when this is, I mean, I may be completely wrong, but when it's the end, it's just dark and
Hmm.
peace. And that's the way
Right.
I see it. And so whilst we're here, even though there can be a lot of suffering, we've got to make the most of it, because it's so incredibly crazy that we're even here in the first place,
Yeah, definitely, and that's the side of it that I look at as well. But when things are hard, it would be nice to
You can
believe that
believe,
there was.
you can go back to church.
I I can't.
No, I
It's
agree.
it doesn't. Yeah, I can't. It's a switch that I can't switch on
No,
logically.
yeah. If your inner critic had a voice and a name, this is an interesting one, what would it sound like?
If my inner critic had a name, I think it would just. I mean, it is. It's sort of an amalgam. It's because I was a kid who had a disability. I started using a wheelchair when I was 25, and I had a walk that was different to other people. And so I was always afraid of someone sort of pointing at me or laughing at me or making fun of me. So there's definitely these voices in my head that always, as I'm, even still now with, being almost 50 and having done and accomplished a fair amount of things, there's still these voices in my head that are, as I'm working on something that are just pointing at it and sort of saying, like, that's not good enough.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm not sure what name I would give it, but it's sort of these shrieks in my head that I can sort of almost hear.
I hope it's not Cartman.
I No, it's not Cartman. I think Cartman is quite funny, although he can be a bit of a dick.
Yeah, we all have the voices. We should, just I talk back to mine and say, "Shut
Okay.
up, shut up. You know nothing." Well, you're going to have a dinner now, and
Hmm.
you're welcome to invite any guest, dead or alive. Who would that be? Dream dinner guest.
Nick Cave.
Oh,
Nick
Nick
Cave
Cave.
would definitely be on the list. I think he is. I mean, apart from his music, I've just really enjoyed. He has gone through a lot of personal loss. He lost two of his sons, and he's turned that sadness and pain into something really beautiful. He writes and has a community of people who have lost. And I went to see him. He came to Iceland last year, and I went to see him, and just the tranquility of him. I feel like there was endless wisdom flowing out of him. So I think I would want to spend more time with him.
That's lovely. I've never had a Nick Cave as a dream dinner guest. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, he would be nice to see.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's sort of a no bullshit but still kind person.
Well, this is the thing with loss and with hardship. It kind of give you that gift of empathy and compassion and kindness.
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to open up your phone and tell
Hmm.
me, what's the most recent photo on there?
What is the most recent photo on my phone? Hold on.
And I hope it's not something you only send to your wife.
No, Actually, it's a screenshot of a tweet that I sent to a friend of mine
Oh,
last night. He is a musician. He makes a lot of electronic music, and it's a nun as playing a synth,
right.
and the caption is "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
Humor is a wonderful a gift, isn't it?
Yeah,
Do you laugh a lot? I can imagine you do.
yeah, I try to. Yeah,
You've started a lovely podcast as well, haven't you, recently? Walk with me.
yeah. It's called Let's Walk, and it's I recently got a new wheelchair, and it has made my life very different to what it was before. I'm much more mobile, but it's also it is electric, and I can raise myself to be at eye level with people.
Yeah,
And so I started doing long walks with creative people, and it has been just really enjoyable. I started in Iceland, and just recently launched it in English as well.
that's fantastic. An all-terrain vehicle.
Hmm.
I know the
Yeah.
one. It's when my friend Paul got his,
Hmm.
he wanted us to get some a fog machine so that he could, when he raised it up, he could just sort of go like that, like a god.
That's a good idea. I'll take that.
Bless him. Yeah, he is funny. Okay, so now we have a question from our previous guest, who was Paul Benny,
Hmm.
founder of co-founder of the magazine Jockey Slut and now Disco Pogo, and he was also one of the founders of Bugged Out, which is a very popular club night here in the UK. He wanted to know, what was the first book that you read that you really felt changed you as a person?
Yeah. I don't have to think about this one because it's a very clear memory. It was my dad read it to me, and he would read to me before I went to sleep, and this was the first book I remember just really touching me. It was a book called The Lionheart Brothers. I think it's called in English. It's by Astrid Lindgren. It's a tale of two brothers who this is not a spoiler because they die in kind of the beginning, and they go to another place and they have to overcome a lot of obstacles. And I think it's a pretty transform. I've noticed this when I'm reading or watching a movie or something, or seeing it in real life, is that the thing that always brings tears to my eyes is kindness. And I think it maybe even started with that book because there's a younger brother who is sick and is going through a lot, and then there's an older brother who is sort of the protector of the two, and he just helps and guides him through all these different things, and the younger brother feels like a hero by the end, and it just, yeah, it's a beautiful little book. It's a children's book, but I think it's really, really powerful.
That sounds great. I might have to give that a listen or a read. Now you have to think of a question for our next guest, Halli.
Yeah, it's a question I actually ask people a lot. It's a little bit morbid, but I ask people how they want to die. And I think it's important for us to remember that we are going to die, and I think it's good to have an ideal death in mind. I think about why that's how we want to die, and it often leads to people sort of wondering, what are the last things they would do before they die, and which then maybe changes the way they live their life now. They is the life you're living now the one you want to have lived when you're on your last breath?
It's a very powerful question, and I'll put it to our next guest. Is this something that you have faced yourself on many occasions?
I have definitely pondered the question, yes. And yeah, I've thought about it a lot. And I think it's informed how I live my life because I've thought about those last moments a lot. And I want to make sure that, to our earlier conversation of I don't believe in a second life. I don't believe that there's more after this. So I want to make sure that by the end that I've done everything that I wanted to do in the way that I intended to do it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Halli. It's been really lovely getting to know you.
Thank you so much, Katy.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Boom podcast this week. And thanks to Halli Thorleifsson for being this week's guest. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your friends and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We'll be back on Monday with another guest. Until then, have a great weekend.